The collection has definitely grown of late. You can see that the shelf is rather full of good things. And here we have an essay that I printed out from the Paris Review. This is going to be a little story about a recent kind of acquisition mission that I had. As props, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need one other book that's on my nightstand. Oh yeah, and I'm going to need this too. Cha-ching! And there's the nightstand book. So recently, I found on eBay a bunch of listings of Ashbery volumes that had clearly like unique pictures. They weren't using the stock photos. And all the books seemed to be in very good condition and priced between like $7.50 and like $15, which was remarkable given that there were several kind of grails for me in that group of listings. And I decided to buy some. I've always wanted this cover of The Double Dream of Spring, and The Double Dream of Spring is one of my favorite collections. Everybody knows Definition of Blue is one of the best Ashbery poems. While you in this netherworld that cannot be better waken each morning to the exact value of what you did and said, which remains one of the best lines in Ashbery. We got For John Clare in here. There's lots of chirping birds around. And then without even mentioning Soonest Mended, we got Variations, Calypso, and Fugue on a theme of Ella Wheeler Wilcox, which is like an absolute indomitable masterpiece. So I had to have The Double Dream of Spring. I mean, this thing was listed for like $7, which seemed like a great deal. And it's the Ecco like reprint. And then Shadow Train was there. I've just always wanted a standalone copy of Shadow Train. Some other printings of it like make it so some of the longer lines wrap around. And I do have the full text of this in the complete Ashbery thing. You can see there's this 1956 to 87 volume that doesn't even fit on the shelf anymore. The ribbon was right at Fantasia on the Nut Brown Maid. I was meaning to read that one. But yeah, you can see we got Shadow Train in here, and all of the lines kind of wrap around. You know, there's not room for any of the long lines. Not even in Qualm, you know, one of my very faves. While I'm here, I want to mention one that's like really good. This one, yeah. Every Evening When the Sun Goes Down is a really good like alcohol one. It's like a really good, really good alcohol one, really good kind of like substance use one. And then there was also this one, Here Everything Is Still Floating, another alcohol one. I recently realized, I recently read online that like Ashbery wasn't without his, you know, his own troubled relationship with alcohol. And, you know, I live in Wisconsin where everyone has some kind of relationship to alcohol. Either it's, you know, conscientious objection, or it's, you know, full on, I don't know, unaddressed alcoholism or something. But these stuck out to me, and I thought it was really touching how Ashbery, who I'd always kind of imagined to be this like kind of sober angel for some reason, because there's such a sobriety to the language that he cribs, and yeah, you know, there's a sobriety to his grammar and to his kind of Victorian cadence or whatever. Yeah, these kind of shocked me and impressed me. So Here Everything Is Still Flowing, and and this Every Evening When the Sun Goes Down. Those are two Shadow Train ones to check out. But I really just got this out to illustrate that thing about the lines. Just to cite my sources on the alcohol thing, this is Ashbery's Analyst by Hannah Zevin. John wasn't sober when I knew him, and I don't really know if he ever was, but he did help John drink less, it seems, and helped him immensely in other related modes. First by placing blah blah blah. You know, it's actually kind of chilly this morning. I just took a call from a friend for a little while, but yeah. So Shadow Train, of course, you want, and then As We Know, everybody wants it, and my friend Ben got it in the like long edition, where it's got the columns side by side. How ridiculous is it that there's like a recording of like of Ashbery and Anne Lauterbach, I think, like reading this simultaneously? Like who wants that? I mean, I know that they're simultaneous monologues, but no one's gonna read them or engage with them in that way. You know, like everyone's gonna basically like either have like a choose your own adventure feeling of like picking which column of Litany you're reading that day, or do like a painstaking kind of going back in time thing where you read one column and then go back and read the other, right? There's no other way. I mean, I guess you could also you could read it any way you choose, but like no one's gonna listen to that. And I think one of the chunks of the recording is like 55 minutes long, you know? This is what I'm talking about on the Pen Sound Ashbery like audio archive. It's this litany recorded with Anne Lauterbach, and you see there's this middle section that's 54:40 long. Oh my gosh.
Fatality, of course. The journey is at an end, and it is just beginning. Innate.
This is what it sounds like.
Ours actually is an age-on-age
See,
telling.
they're just interrupting each other. The way they do it on in the Library of America one is that the non-italic one is over here and the italic one is on the opposite page, which I think is a good way of doing it. So, but the first time you encounter Litany, it's just one of the columns. It's chosen. It's the italicized erecto side column, and it's just like a little excerpt of just that one column when you first read it in selected poems. Gosh, there's so much to do and to talk about that I'm gonna need to drink so much coffee today in order to survive. Everybody wish me luck. So yeah, like even though there are all these difficulties with Litany, with performing it or whatever, and it's really nice to have the original kind of Penguin paperback. Of course, it's got this wonderful picture on the front. What is that? It's a really thick Penguin paperback. It's got kind of a brown spine, like my Faye Kicknosway book. And $7.95 at the time. But yeah, on the front is St. Mary's Square and St. Mary's Church, Utrecht by Sanridam. You know, this is just like one of those covers you see and you're like, that would be really nice. Also, it's the only like Ashbery that's in this long format. I think that it would have been nice for them to do flowchart like this, because then you really wouldn't have as much of the wrapping as you have. You still have the wrapping, even with these like the square format that flowchart's in. Although wrapping's fine, right? Wrapping, I feel like, is a visual like little cue that says this is Whitmanian, you know, because I feel like I associate wrapped lines not with Carl Sandburg so much, but with Walt Whitman. So anyway, you want this long, as we know. And so that was another one of the ones that was in this haul. Wait 1 second. This is that Faye Kicknosway book I'm talking about, another Penguin paperback with a brown spine that looks very similar. It's that really cool book of poems of hers where she does kind of like ekphrasis with Walker Evans photographs. This is a really cool book. Any of you guys have Who Shall Know Them? I'm very proud to have this. And as everyone knows, I'm proud to have asparagus, sweet asparagus. Now, Flowchart's a book I have the text of in a couple other places. So notably, Collected Poems 1991 to 2000. It's got the complete text, and that's where I first read the book. And I read it out loud, like while cooking, whenever we would cook. And then in Notes from the Air, which was a lucky St. Vinny's find of mine, as you all know, there is some of Flowchart in here. It's not what starts the book, because we got April Galleons. It's cool that it overlaps with the text of the earlier Library of America volume, but then you see you get section 5 of Flowchart, and that's the section that Ben Lerner reads when they were doing that like commemorative reading of Flowchart, or that kind of celebratory reading of Flowchart where everybody took a little bit of it. But you only get section 5 here. But what you do get here is something like the square format that the original hardcover paperback came in. Regarding that Library of America volume, I actually emailed Library of America asking them if there was going to be a third one that covers 2000 to the present day, and they said that they don't have it on the schedule, but they're happy to forward the suggestion along. And then they corrected my terminology. It's not out of print, that 1990 to 2000, but it's just currently out of stock. And they don't have a date for a reprint, and that it won't be soon, but like they kind of like are leaving open hope, holding out hope that another printing of it could happen, which would be great for the resale market. Another thing to note here is that on my recent video, 2 new Ashbery grails, well, I guess it wasn't recent, it was 9 months ago. So I could have, you know, had a baby in that amount of time. Paperbird, my hero on BookTube, says, "Congrats on the finds, go for flowchart if you see it." So when I saw it, I had to go for it, and here it is. So these are the 4 that I got from that shipment. So the main objective of this video is to tell the story of the shipment, what happened. So this is a good seller, nothing against the seller or anything, but they were damaged in transit. This one got like a little chew on the corner, which is a shame. You could see in the pictures that it didn't have that. This one got folded up and chewed there, you can see. This one got like kind of totally bent, like the, I don't know if you can see, but like the book itself got bent, like the spine got bent, which is crazy. And then the flowchart hardcover, it looks like it got this little problem down here. I don't know if you can see, yeah, there it is, that dent. So they all got some damage. However, I was getting them for like a pretty chill price to begin with. It's just a shame because they're all like, to an Ashbery collector, these are all kind of like, you know, special books. It's like, gosh, like, you know, leave those intact because they're special paperbacks, you know. And so I talked to the seller about it, and they totally refunded me for like almost the entirety of the order, which was very nice. And they were kind of shocked that something bad had happened. I mean, that was a little weird that they were shocked because, I mean, they had all basically just been thrown in one Amazon Prime bag, but that's okay. I mean, you know, I guess they weren't very expensive, so they weren't packed expensively is what I mean to say. But at the end of it, and so I was kind of pissed for a second, but at the end of the day, I was just happy to have the books because I've always wanted a copy of Shadow Train. And like getting a copy of Shadow Train, I was able to see that on the front, it's not like, I thought these were just lines, but they really are one of those New York City like fences around a planter that's like almost buried in snow. So it looks like these overlapping standalone arcs. And I've just always thought this was like a really wonderful emblematic cover for this book. So I ended up getting these for a pretty good price. I think like I didn't exceed $30 total expense for these 4, which, as far as I can understand it, given the scarcity of them all, is like pretty good. And another thing that happened is the Shadow Train was very it has that old glue in there that's very dry. So the cover came off. You can see that the book has just these 2 25-page signatures because it's a 50-page book, really. And you can see kind of the color of that glue. It's very dry. The whole cover came off, and I had to do another one of my fixes where I put glue along the spine and then set the pages back in and put it back together. And since then, it's worked like a charm. You know, I do think that I felt more empowered to do that repair and to kind of get hands-on with this copy because these are all kind of damaged. I feel like when they come damaged this way, you just think, well, I mean, it drives home the point that they're not like books to be kind of collected or kept pristine or kind of put away in some stupid personal museum, but they're to be, you know, put in your backpack and taken somewhere and read and, you know, recited from and, you know, read to your you know, any way you choose on the beach or whatever. So it didn't end up that bad. In fact, I think it ended up pretty well. It ended up going pretty well for me because I got this flowchart, and I think hardcover first editions of this are pretty hard to come by generally. You've got the cloth, the blue cloth that it's in. You can see there's like a little spots on the inside of the jacket, but it's in really good shape outside of this bump. But don't think about that, you know. It's kind of easy to not think about that when you're reading the book, which itself is in good pain, which is in good shape. Yeah, so that's my story about these 4 new books. I really like this cover because it's got kind of like a comic on it depicting like something coming into being. And I also really like the shade of it. It gives me kind of a peaceful instruction manual-y, like some treesy feeling. And this one also has a serenity to it. They all have kind of like a serenity except for Flowchart, which is like appropriately like leering. and what's the word? It's like appropriately hot and spicy. So that's kind of my story behind these four, and how I came to get them. We've got a favorite, a kind of budding favorite, one that's like that I have difficulty with, and then one that is very sentimental. And this is kind of more of the most museum PC thing here. I have already been taking out Shadow Train, as I said, and reading it, and I love how like slender it is. Are there author photos around? Yeah, there's an author photo on Flowchart where he looks like he's like in Italy or something. Looks like he's, you know, on the Mediterranean, as far as I can tell. It's a pretty good pick of the guy. $5.91. A decent chunk of time before I was born. The back is kind of sick too. Yeah, I mean, this is just, it's kind of a dream come true. I mean, his stuff is a dream come true for anyone, you know, for anyone who just feels like they really don't know, they don't have a catchphrase for themselves, or they don't really know what they think, or they're trapped between two different kind of ideologies that they can't be perfectly kind of honest with. He's kind of a godsend. Like, it feels like, oh, okay, well, we can still get something down. We can still get something down, and I can still contribute something by trying to like put down this flurry of emotions that being caught between opinionated poles, you know, produces in me. So that's those are the four new books, and rock on, everybody. Read well today.